Welcome everyone. I am Almedia Exum. We are here live on my channel. I am here with the Anarchist. We are doing an interview today. I'm so happy to be here. I want to say to everyone who's watching this on my channel as well as the Anarchist's channel, happy Life Day. Happy LIFE Day, because every day that we are living is a day to be happy. So happy Life Day. Today, we are interviewing the Anarchist, and we're just going to really dive into getting to know him, where he came from, and what has gotten him to this point. How are you doing today, the Anarchist?
Peace out, media. I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing great. It's such a great day to be alive. So let's just get into it. Tell us a little bit about your beginnings, the Anarchist.
What do you
Well,
want to know?
well, before we go there, for anyone who's never been to the Anarchist's channel, tell us the type of videos the type of content that you produce, and then we'll just go into a backstory of who you are. But what type of content do you create on your channel?
Okay, well, as you just said, my name is the Anarchist, which is sort of an artist name I gave for myself. But I started on YouTube in 2011. That was the very first day I started my page. I wasn't really into like numbers and dates at that time, but I was I wanted to start a YouTube page in 2010 and around December 2010, but I figured let me start on the first day, January 2011, because all those ones.
Mm.
And I didn't really know what that would mean, but I just I thought it would be cool. So yeah, if you look on my page, the about section, you'll see that I joined YouTube on January 1st, 2011. And basically I joined not to show my face or anything or be a celebrity, but basically my reason for joining was to put out my music. I was a producer and still am a hip hop, R&B, lo-fi hip hop producer right now. I love music, especially hip hop music, especially R&B music. So I still do beats and put out beats. But when I started my channel, I started to just put out my beats and get recognized, and maybe popular rappers may see them or people want to buy them. I think at the time I was into like there was information that was saying that hey, you can sell beats on the internet and be like an internet producer and make a living that way. I mean, you want to be rich, but you can make a living that way, which has really always been my goal. It's just to be a content creator and artist and be able to just not necessarily have to live, like a million or anything like that, but just be able to live off the work that I produce, be it beats or whatever. So that's how I started on YouTube, just putting up my own beats, my own work, trying to get better as an artist, selling beats, which was pretty okay at the time. Never enough to sustain me and just to live off of, but if I go hard some years or sometimes that I can make a good amount of money. But after that, I just got more into
And
try to get
and I do
creative.
want to say I have listened to your beats, some of your beats, and they're really dope. Like the Anarchist has even like created some beats for like some people I know, and so like he's really good at that. So continue. Okay.
Oh yeah, so yeah, so never stop doing beats, but just always try to think of different ideas that I could bring traffic to my page. So even if you go on my page right now, if you search the Anarchist on YouTube, you can see I've done like Netflix reviews, just like we've done reviews here on your channel media. I've done music reviews. Those don't really go over too well because I'm not an authority in those different spaces. Done different views, some blogs, just a lot of different type of stuff. I haven't really taken down video except for recently, where I'm kind of my channel is being striked, and we can talk about that. But
We're gonna definitely talk about that.
okay, but yeah, since the top of this year, last year, I wanted to kind of make a push for just coming up with content to build a following of my different, because I always we can talk about this as well, but I went to school for filmmaking, so I know how to produce video. But I was just trying to come up with different content ideas to put out there to build up a different audience or just a large audience. So when March hit this year, which we know is COVID, all this stuff happened, the type of person I am, I've always been the type of person to study a lot, to look for knowledge, and to seek truth. You feel me? So
Hmm.
basically, when the whole Kobe Bryant thing hit, when Kobe died, and we started finding out that there was like a virus out or whatever, I did a lot of research into stuff, and found some stuff that I just thought was interesting. I did a video, one of my first videos, and it's a session of videos that I do today, which I guess people will call conspiracy videos, because I talk about a lot of things that the mainstream media doesn't talk about. For instance, I have a video on chemtrails and when how they put that into the air as toxic, some to as a negative thing, just a lot of different things. I talk about different pedophiles in different areas. I'm doing a podcast today on my Patreon about pedophiles on the dark web, which there are a lot of, and it's a lot of information on it. So a lot of the stuff that I talk about is stuff that YouTube, for some reason, censors. Like when I talk about the COVID-19 stuff, or when I talk about the Satanist pedophile stuff, or the different things that's going on, the different truth and knowledge. I'm kind of all over the place, but if it's a niche, it's going to be in like the either conspiracy. Some people call it conspiracy, but I call it the truth realm, the truth
Hmm.
seeker community.
I
So
was
that is the
I was
content.
just gonna say, yeah, I was just gonna say, is it fair to say that you are producing content about the truth of what's going on out here? Is that fair to say? Like that's your main, like, uh, that's your main reason to produce content now, is to just bring out information that is the truth that may not be being told online?
I think it is fair to say, because honestly, what I know is going on is that most people in the world kind of just live in the world, and they believe that what they hear on the news and what is sort of like the mainstream narrative of things is the truth. They feel like they're not being lied to by their governments, or by, they're not, being mind control, which I talk about a lot. I have a lot of videos on mind control. They feel like the information that they get on a day-to-day basis is the right true information. And some of the things that I break down is that's not true. I give people facts. I have at least about 4,000 subscribers on my YouTube right now, which has 2 strikes, but thousands of people who wasn't into this type of information, but the type of videos that I do, which are like documentary style, also go live. I still do beats and some things, and I still do different type of content, but for the most part, I do like documentary style short videos and podcasts centering around these different subjects. The virus, Satanists, pedophiles, and all this type of stuff that you really don't hear about in the mainstream media. So yes, I am putting out.
That's I was gonna say that's really interesting. And you all, I want to encourage you all to visit the Anarchist's channel. He has a really great way of, explaining what's going on. He's a scholar in his own right, and he's already building up a rapid following, a rapid fan base, people that want to know what he has to say. And he's researching this stuff. He isn't just like coming up with this out of thin air. This is information, knowledge, and news that is out there that may not be getting attention from the regular media. And the Anarchist is providing you all with this if you are a truth seeker. So make sure you go and subscribe if you haven't. And for any of his followers that are listening now, welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy Life Day. For any newcomers, make sure you go and subscribe to his channel, watch his videos, learn something new from him. And while you're there, grab one of those truth seeker shirts that he has on. That's his t-shirts, and he has other merch with truth seeker too. That's his brand. And make sure you subscribe and support him. So the Anarchist, I want to go back. I want to go all the way back. I want to go back because you're talking about how, like, your channel now, you're producing content on like truth. Like you attract people that are truth seekers, right? So
Mhm.
I want to just know, where did this all begin? Like, let's take us back to, childhood. Like, first of all, where are you from?
I'm from Detroit, Michigan, born and raised. You feel me? On the playground is where I
Okay,
spent. No, I'm just playing.
most of my days. Wow, Detroit. Okay, okay, okay. And where do you think this desire to want to like teach and educate people like came from? Like, tell us a little bit about your childhood.
I think the desire to teach people didn't really come. I mean, honestly, if you want to ask me my perspective, I feel like some of the things that when you ask people, what do you want to do in life? And people like me say, hey, I want to do this, it's because more than what we see in our everyday life is our spirit that comes here and want to express something, and
Mm.
my spirit is definitely artistic, so when I came down here, I feel like I was supposed to express art, because the way I feel about making it, the way I feel about disseminating, that's why I got into music, and things like that. So as far as teaching this type of stuff, it's interesting because when I grew up in Detroit and as a child, I always just felt different, unique, and a lot of people feel that way. A lot of different spirits feel that way, especially people who are into the type of information we're into, who can just accept it. Now, I do uh, produce with my documentaries, short documentaries, a lot of evidence. So you don't necessarily have to be on that particular frequency to know what's really going on. But people who have already been like that is kind of like how I would describe myself. Growing up, people like family members, my mom, dad, different family members tell me like, because when I got older, I had a knack for like trying to explain things or trying, I would always just be researching just really random stuff, weird stuff. So I was always kind of looked at as like the smart kid, and I would just be explaining this, explaining that. And my mom, at a very young age, used to tell me like, you're gonna teach a lot of people. You better teach a lot of people. You're gonna be like, she would tell me like, you're gonna be like Malcolm X or somebody. You're gonna, lead the people. You're gonna do good. You're gonna do this, that, and the other. You're gonna be successful. And coming from your mom, you just like, all right, man, whatever. But I noticed also, like when I went to school, even teachers would be like, "Oh, this, he's something else." Because I don't know. I guess I was just, a higher spirit. I don't know. I was pretty well mannered as a child, and just, I guess, gave off a different kind of vibe. So a lot of teachers look at me like and just say like, "I think you're gonna be somebody. I think you're gonna do something. You seem really smart and all that." So I think that's where it comes from, when you are someone who, and people are telling you something about yourself, like, "Oh, you need to do this. Like, you're really good at this. You need to kind of," because at the time I'd be like, people like, "Oh, they would say things like, you need to be a teacher," and then in my mind I'd be like, "I don't want to teach nobody. Like, what do I have to teach? I want to do music." So I didn't think that I could just do everything I wanted to do. So it's funny how that comes together with that. So that's basically where the passion
And
for
go ahead. Go ahead. I didn't mean
no,
to cut you off.
that's
And I just
basically what the passion from teaching comes in. Yeah.
Okay. And I just also wanted to say, for people who don't know, and you also went to school for like filmmaking. So it's different layers to like your passion for storytelling, because you like telling stories behind the camera as well, right? Because you went to school for
Correct.
filmmaking, right? Can you tell us a little bit about that and your experience studying?
All right, it's interesting because the way got into film was at a very young age. Like most kids, I was like one of those kids who, like I said, I really love information. So I was kind of a reader at a young age, not like real avid, but I did like a few books, fictional books, and but I really love, besides music, movies. I would get lost in movies. I love stories. I love different stories, learning about different things I didn't know, especially as a kid. And to be honest, my mom, she wasn't really that strict on what type of movies I could watch. She would just let me watch. She didn't let me watch nothing crazy, but I could always watch just whatever type of movies I wanted. So I just was get enamored in that world. And as a kid, I used to think that, I want to do something that has to do with these movies because I just love them so much. So as a kid, I remember maybe at like 10 to about 12 years old, wanting to be an actor. I was like, okay, I want to act, because obviously that's the only thing you really, I guess, as a kid, I thought that, really had to do with these movies. Like I see these actors on screen, especially you see the same ones, Denzel, who get to play different roles and play them convincingly. I'm like, I want to do that. So kind of just went with that mindset, got into trying to research acting. When you're in your room acting yourself, you know what I'm saying? What's Texas? Are you talking to me? Are you talking to me? You talking to me? You talking to me? No, so just just a weird kid just in his room, acting and singing, doing different raps, and just imagine myself as an entertainer, as an actor. And that basically lasted up until 15 years old. I remember this. I was in 10th grade, and again, remember I said when teachers would come up to me all the time. You should do this. You should do that. In middle school, I went to a school called outside of Detroit, in a city called Inkster. It's called Cherry Hill School of Performing Arts. It fancy enough was the same school that Aaliyah went to before she left and got with R. Kelly and all that stuff. And we know the Aaliyah's from Detroit. Rest in peace to her. Rest in power to that queen.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that she
Yep.
was from Detroit.
From Detroit, and went to my school. I remember some of the teachers who taught
Oh,
her actually were
wow.
left over. Yeah, and still some of the teachers that taught me. You know what I'm saying? So it did start off as a pretty good performing arts school, but it got actually kind of messed up after a while. So, but when I
Mm.
got in, it was really, really big on performing arts. We had a huge theater set, probably a couple hundred, not a couple thousand people, maybe 2 or 3 thousand people. It was huge. It was like a regular theater because it was supposed to be a performing arts school, and it was a charter school. I think a black man from Atlanta created that school, and I note that
Wow.
because yeah, he used to take us on trips to Atlanta in different black wealthy areas like Lithonia in Atlanta. So that was my first time there. But in that school, people used to know me for being in plays. People used to know me as like the best actor in the school. I would always be in the plays, and people be like, man, Demetrius, he can
I
act
don't
because
think
that's
you
my name,
told me
Demetrius.
that.
That's
Oh,
true. When
yeah,
I
and
was
I did. Go ahead.
That's very true. I used to act, and I know you're an actor, so yeah, I'm not sure I didn't tell you that, but yeah.
Well, I know you acted in plays at in elementary school and high school. Maybe I forgot. But yeah, let's get into your real name for anyone who is interested. What is your birth name?
My birth name is my father's name, which is Demetrius McClendon.
Mm. Now, tell us a little bit. Do you want to share anything, any quick, awesome notes about your father? As a male, like how
Yeah,
he helped influence you? Because I know
yeah,
you told me he was in his own right, like a scholar, and he would study stuff and share stuff with you.
Yeah, no, really quick. My dad was a smart dude I looked up to and just led a real complex life. Like if I ever get the privilege and the money, I would do a movie on his life because he was a really interesting dude. Smart dude, got his college education, was into computers, in the 80s. So
Mm.
he was like a computer guy in
Mm.
the 80s, computer engineer, whatever. But at the same time, he was dealing drugs. So always with money, always he used to tell, and for he was in jail throughout my entire life. Actually, he's passed, he's transitioned now. He died back in 2015. But always very active in my life. I can always remember memories of him, but it was very hard because he obviously wasn't around as a day-to-day father, but was really still trying to be active in my life. Somebody who I did look up to, even though he got caught up in the drug game, and if you black, you kind of know how that goes. But well, I don't say if you black, but if you black and you um
I'm listening. I was just
understand
adjusting
street
my
life.
camera.
Oh yeah, no problem, no problem. But yeah, so he was a huge
Hmm.
influence on my life because he was a very smart dude and pushed me to be intelligent and pushed me to just know different things about the world. And luckily, I'll say, because even though he went through what he went through in drugs, being in the environment that I was in Detroit, that actually deterred me because I'm like, oh, I know that can kind of end people up. So I want to do a more legit lifestyle. And he, I understand he was like an entrepreneur, even though in the bad way, trying, selling drugs, whatever. But
But you know
he
what? I love that throughout all of that, he was able to still inspire you and encourage you. And this was a man with a degree. And there's honestly, like, pharmaceutical companies are big drug dealers. You know what I mean? It's just they're doing it, they're getting away with it. You know what I mean? And so to have this black man who was a scholar in his own right, who had an education and everything, and he was still doing some on the side, but he was still able to encourage and inspire you to live a life full of like wonder and questions and being able to be a truth seeker yourself. And I love that because we don't hear about, we do, but we need more experiences where men are talking about their fathers and the good things that they have offered them and how he was able to offer you inspiration and hope, and how he was still able to be there for you despite other circumstances.
Mhm.
Now, speaking of college, so we already talked about you're from Detroit, and you decided to go to college for, did you decide to go to college for filmmaking at first? Or how did you land in like in university? How did that go for you? Like when you were in Detroit, did you just say one day, hey, I want to get up out of here? Or what did how did that thought process go for you going to school?
Well, actually, what I was saying before, when I was in middle school and high school, I was really big into the plays and acting and stuff. And about 10th grade, when I was 15, I remember another black man, the assistant principal. I can't remember his name, but he came up to me and he was telling me, "Hey, there is a program in Detroit called, I can't remember the exact name. It was like the Urban something something." And basically, what they did was they took inner city kids and showed them the production side of the business. So he was like, "I know you're into acting, but these people, they make PSAs, and they actually really, it was like a man and his wife who owned a production company who just use their time to teach kids, how to be in the TV and movie production industry." So doing that, I remember taking that like, okay, I can just see how that works. I can maybe network, but I'm more so into acting. But after I did that, I got really into behind the scenes stuff. I got really into, the editing. And so I was thinking like, you know what, this is actually what I really want to do. I don't necessarily just want to be the person acting on screen. I actually want to put together these movies, once I figured out how it's
Mm.
done. And I did a few PSAs and a few of my first works there. And so after that, after 15 and going through that experience, that's when I really wanted to go into filmmaking. So when I was 18 and graduated high school, I had the choice between pretty much staying home in Michigan and going to University of Michigan and studying basically journalism as a way to kind of study film. I also had the option to travel to New York and go to like a film school, but it wouldn't be like a university. It'd just be studying film, which I was a little apprehensive about because I did want to go to New York and I did want to study film, but I'm like, that wouldn't be college. That would maybe give me some credits for college. So, none of the universities in New York accepted me. So, and then I was also accepted in a small school in Atlanta, which did have a like a film type of school, but it was a really small school. So I actually decided just to kind of get away from Detroit and kind of branch out and see another city. And at the time, remember, this was like 2008. I was 18 in the year 2008. So that's when Atlanta, I don't know if it's more than a day, but at the time, that's when it was really first popping off with like different acts and artists, trap music, snap music, all this different music. So I'm like, yeah, Atlanta for Black folks like me in entertainment, that's where I want to be. So when I went to Atlanta, went to this school, kind of struggled a bit. I only was there for like a year or so, but it kind of taught me a lot. That experience, I learned a lot because there I actually learned how to be a producer. I went to school for film. And because it was my first year, I didn't study anything film, but the school actually had a studio. And I just would just hang there. And producers are different from any other thing. If they see you in the studio, they'll show you what they're doing. Like, hey, this is what I'm doing. So I would just kind of learn and look. And I learned how to make beats. And at the time, I didn't think anything of it because I just think like, I'm more so just thinking like I'm a filmmaker. I can just learn how to make music, compose music, just in case I won't be able to afford, some sort of music composer. And I can do that. So I'm just thinking of everything I can do that'll help me with beats, which actually helped me as a YouTuber, knowing how to do music and produce videos. I didn't know that at the time. YouTube wasn't that huge of a thing, but that's what it helped me to do. So from there, just to kind of wrap up my school, and I wasn't able to stay in Atlanta because I couldn't afford it. Moved back to Detroit. I had went through a little stage of where I was kind of like getting into a depression, but I eventually kind of snapped out of that. And then I was already accepted in the University of Michigan in the Dearborn campus, so I enrolled there. And that's when I basically studied journalism there, film there eventually, and got into like more so learning about that stuff.
Okay. Now, speaking of your college experience, now I know that you ended up having a great blessing come upon you while you were in college studying. Talk about that blessing that you found on the campus.
I don't know what you're talking about.
That
Could you be specific?
That queen you found on the university.
Okay,
I'm
okay,
telling,
yeah.
I'm telling. No.
Yeah, you know me, the anarchist. Yeah, I've had my queen that I'm still with today, that I live with today, who I'm in love with today, to this day.
To this day.
But
we do that at the same time.
Yeah, but yeah, we met. It's very interesting. I think I told this story before on my YouTube channel, but we met at that University of Michigan. I was going there. I think we were both supposed to be in our final years, but we didn't graduate at the same time. She graduated before me, and technically, I did graduate. I fulfilled the credits, but I just never applied for my degree. That's a whole nother thing. I didn't give a fuck. But I didn't give an F. I'm sorry. Basically, how we met though, it was interesting. I told the story before. It was in a Black woman's study class. I kid you not. I was just the type of person. I wasn't just in there, perving out, being a dog. I actually did want to learn some of these things. I took a lot of classes in college. I was just intrigued in things. So I took a lot of different things that maybe I wasn't necessarily interested in, but I wanted to learn about. Like I was in a lot of feminist classes. A lot of just weird stuff you probably wouldn't think the anarchists would be in. But so I took this Black woman's class, which did have Black women, and it had a few Black men in as well. It had a really good doctor. I wish I could remember her name. I think it was, I don't want to say anything that it's not, but it was really, really good doctor. If you look up womanism, which is supposedly this Black form of feminism, this was the doctor who was one of the thought leaders behind the Black womanist movement. So there's because basically she would teach in the class that, feminism is all good and right for women, but like most people know, that's mostly a white woman's movement, and they actually alienate a lot of different Black women and other women of color. So she would teach that, she taught this theology of womanism and this, that, and the other that was more inclusive of, I guess, Black traditions within, female empowerment. So I thought it was a real interesting class, and that was the class that my queen, and I never ever say her name because she's not into she don't want to be famous at all. She don't even have a Facebook, believe it or not. And she's younger than me. I will say that she's younger than me. I don't think has ever had a Facebook, but or any other social media. But anyway, so I call her my queen, the queen. we met. It was interesting because this is exactly how we met. I know she really act like she don't remember this, but I remember this. I remember every single detail about how we met because I remember being in the class with a lot of good looking black women. So I'm just staking out like, all right, where I'm going, you know what I'm saying? Who gonna be my love? So I was just like a flirt back in college, you know what I'm saying? So I was just flirting with everybody. I remember one time, I think I flirted with her, turned around, started talking to her. I was just real confident and cocky back in college. I'll be honest with you. So I just talked to anybody. So I talked to her one day, and it surprised me because I was just talking to her in one class, and then another class we had just got done taking a test. Then she came up to my desk and was like, "What did you get?" And I didn't get a good grade, so I'm just like, "Oh, I did all right. How'd you do?" So she was like, "Oh, I got a good grade. I got an A." I'm thinking like, so, you know what I'm saying? So, but I just thought that was real. I liked how she approached me then, because I think after the first time I talked to her, I'm not sure if I talked to her again. So that stuck out in my mind. I remember seeing her on outside of about to go into another classroom as I was leaving the campus one day. So I just remember walking up on her like, "Hey, what's up? You was in my class." I don't know how I did this, but I did this real like kind of like trying to get her number. Like, yeah, I think I might need your number because it's some things that you may not understand in the class, and obviously I'm the best in that class. So you need to give me your number because, because I don't want you to fall behind. I don't want you to. So I think she thought that was kind of cute, but looking back, that might have been a little corny. But she gave me a number, you know what I'm
I
saying?
mean,
And
hey, it worked. It worked.
it did work, you know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, got her number, and I ain't gonna lie, stuff moved real fast after that because I just remember we went out on our first date. I think it was to like Applebee's or something like that. I remember it was on Valentine's Day. Cool date, first kiss, all that, chilling every day, going to school. So at the time I was going to school, working, and then anytime I had free, I was calling or chilling with her. So after a few weeks, I'm like, all right, you my girlfriend now. You're gonna be my girlfriend. It's just what you is. So and from there, that's pretty much what it's been. After that, she always had plans, which I thought we were going to actually end a relationship soon. Because even when we first got into a relationship, she was like, I always had planned on leaving Detroit. So I'm like, deuces, you know what I'm saying? This is my hometown. I didn't really have plans on leaving at that point. But when we got more serious, and I was just figuring like, I think I really want to be with this girl. She moved, and we talked about me moving as well. So now we are here together in Chicago. She wanted to move. I think originally she wanted to live in North Carolina, and I was just like, I've been to the South, and I actually have in Atlanta. I made a friend who was from North Carolina, and he didn't live in Charlotte, like the big city, but he just lived in North Carolina. He used to tell me a lot of negative stuff about there. So I'm like, I don't know if I want to live there. So we kind of compromised on Chicago, because she wanted to live in, just somewhere else. She was kind of getting sick of Detroit. It is kind of for a city. It's a little slow motion there, kind of a small, not really much to do, not really a lot of opportunity back then, especially. So she wanted to come to Chicago, and I figured that's close enough to Detroit where it's not that big of a
I
deal.
love that. I love that. I love hearing love stories, and I love hearing how people met and all that type of stuff. And to think that, you never even thought about coming to Chicago, but when your love came, you came. You know what I mean? And just how life is playing itself out for you. And I love hearing about these type of stories. I really do. Now you all know I've heard, well, he knows I've heard this story before, but I never get tired of hearing about people's experiences and stuff. It really excites me just hearing about how people's lives have played out. So I think that's really awesome. And I've met his queen. She is beautiful. She's amazing. And it's so nice to see how, you never would think like you're going into this African studies class, and I've taken African studies too in college. I mean, I was already in a relationship, so I wouldn't have been looking for people. But I'm just saying, like, if you're single or whatever, you never know. You go into this class and you just there to learn. But you also see a whole bunch of women or whatever, you know what I mean? And you just never know that someone in that class is somebody you're going to be, in a relationship with years down the road and stuff like that. And that's just a testament. Like, you never know what's going to happen in life. And it's such a beautiful experience that we're going down. Same thing with like filmmaking and doing beats, and now having your YouTube channel where you're telling, like, giving truthful information and growing a fan base of truth seekers. Who would have thought that this is what you would have been doing specifically? Like, you knew that you had a passion for telling people information and storytelling and filmmaking, but you probably didn't know that you would be doing exactly this, right?
Right.
So I just think I think that that's beautiful. So since you've been in Chicago, what do you think about the city, my city?
Oh man, I love Chicago, man. I love Chicago. You know what I'm saying? It's just so
Mm,
funny because in Detroit, you just hear a lot of stuff about Chicago. All you hear is pow pow pow, psh,
I
psh,
mean,
psh,
I mean, but
love
that's what we
so
hear
so.
about Detroit.
Exactly.
That's what
So
we
it's
hear
just like you
about
never really
Detroit.
that's one thing you learn when you actually travel, which is that you can't always believe things because you hear them. Because I have relatives and cousins who actually live in the South, live in Arkansas, same small city their entire life, and they would never come to Detroit or Chicago because they feel like, oh, it's unsafe, this, that, and the other. Which obviously you have the stories and you have the incidents, whatever, but it's a different thing from living here. I've lived here, and I will say Chicago from my experience, because I understand there are neighborhoods and pockets of Chicago that are really dangerous, and are really serious and need to be addressed politically. This is a political year, it's an election year, and I don't really see people. Whenever people bring up Chicago, it's always derogatory. What about Chicago? What about black on black crime in Chicago? But I think people really need to do something about Chicago. Everybody in Chicago, I don't say everybody, but most black people in Chicago have a lot of sense. Even the people in the streets understand if I had an opportunity to do something besides this, that's what I would be doing. You know what I'm saying? So it's just funny being around that and actually being around people. I've met a lot of very great, interesting brothers and sisters like yourself, like a lot of different other people, and just not even just trying, just working different jobs, and you see people and they're like minded and they have a lot of sense and they know what's going on. And it's funny because this is the part of Chicago that you rarely see as an outsider looking in. And me just being able to be here, feeling the culture. You guys are innovators in a lot of stuff. I don't think people really realize a lot of stuff that this one city bursts, not just like in the whole greater grand scheme of things, but just even the word thought. I know y'all want to be proud of that, but that's a Chicago word. There's a lot of slang that
Oh,
comes right out of this city in Chicago. A lot of slang, a lot of culture. That's how I feel about Detroit too. A lot of stuff comes out of there people don't really know, but like just being here and understanding how you guys operate, especially the black people here, which we are the progenitors of a lot of cultures here in America. It's just amazing. Like, from my perspective, it's been amazing because it's no other city like it, man. It's really like its own LA or New York. It's like a good combination of both because it's just like you have a lot of stuff here. You have the nightlife. I was enamored when I first got here by just riding on a train. We don't really have trains like that in Detroit, and good transportation. If you're on a bus in Detroit, you messed up. You know what I'm saying? If I see you waiting at a bus, I'm like, they're messed up. But here, you got wealthy people who take public transit. So it's just like, it's a different culture here. And I'm just really happy to be here.
mm. Okay, so that's very interesting. I'm glad that you're talking about like the differences between Detroit and Chicago because there are stereotypes about both cities, and people really talk about the positives, like the positives in Detroit, the positives in Chicago, and what the cities have to offer and stuff. Now, how did you feel as far as the population? Because of course you met a lot of, brothers and sisters like me in the city. But I know in Detroit it's like black everywhere, right? And I know you said you came here, is a little different because you're seeing all kinds of people here. So was that like super, super shocking or, what was that? What was that like?
I mean, like I said, it is a lot different because I think Detroit, if you don't stay there, it'll be really, really difficult to try to explain the culture there because it's unlike anywhere else in America. That Detroit is one of the very few mostly black owned major cities. Not owned.
Mm,
We don't own black. We don't own Detroit, but black populated. It's like 80 to 90% black. Going down though, but it's always been very, 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 very black. So as a child, unless you go outside the city, I'm used to seeing black people. Always black people. Always you go here, store black people.
blackety, blackety, black.
Exactly. So that's just like I've never, you know what I'm saying? It's always been white people. I always know about white people when they've been places, but it's just like you don't really see them until you go outside the city. That's what I've lived. But here in Chicago, where you have this kind of separation in the city where it's a known thing that if you go deep into the south side of Chicago, then you're going to see
Or the
nothing
west
but black.
side.
Right. If you go deep into the south or the west side, you're going to see black. But if you here on the north side, and then obviously you have what they call over east over here, by the lake or whatnot, it's mostly white areas. Very good. And my thing in Detroit, because it is all
And
black,
mixed areas so too, because it's blacks
right?
up
You have
north and it's
Hispanic
blacks
areas, you have
all on the east
Chinese areas.
side.
Yeah. I mean,
Mm,
obviously, you have now that's my thing. I'm just wondering, like, because there are people who stay on the South Side here in Chicago. I always wonder, like, well, understandably, it's probably cheaper housing out there, and I know how they railroad a lot of black people in different areas. But I'm just trying to understand why more people don't try to make a push for the North or the East Side. And I understand
There,
finances play a
there
lot
are.
into it.
There's lots of, side note, there's lots of blacks that stay on the north side. Tons and tons and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, maybe even thousands and thousands. It's just, because the populations, I feel like it's intentional. Like I feel like it's intentional why only so many people, there's only so many blacks up there. Like, I don't know if it has to do with like housing discrimination, because that's a real thing, but there's tons of blacks. Like, I've lived all over the city and there are tons of blacks everywhere, but maybe there's just like a cap. Like, all right, when we get to 1,000, no more blacks. Let's start filling this in. Let's, filtering this out. Like, I don't know. But like, and then honestly, to be honest, just like how some whites like being around whites, some blacks like to be in their own neighborhoods. Not everyone's trying to go up north just to assimilate. Some people are like, hey, if this is where my people are, or this is where I can get a nice, affordable house. It's a lot of nice, beautiful, peaceful neighborhoods on the south side of Chicago and on the west side of Chicago. People think of the south side as like the hood, but it's a lot of beautiful neighborhoods, peaceful neighborhoods, nice, big houses where black people own them. And you don't really get that perspective of the south side, but you too afraid to come to the south side, otherwise you would know this. Like, I
Listen, when
keep
I get
telling
my
him.
thing on me, I'll be down there all day. Like, what you looking at? What you looking at? I'm nothing, not me. It's like,
um so as we're winding down in the interview, I would love for you to talk to us about your channel and what do you have going on now with your channel? What are the things you cover? And, of course, you can share like the people keep trying to get to you, trying to, ban you. They can't ban you. They can't ban the truth. The truth is irrefutable, But tell us about your channel, more about your channel.
oh yeah. So right now, I just want to mention to everybody watching. Hopefully, I shared this on my Facebook page because I got a lot of truth seekers over there on Facebook. But yeah, right now, for those who don't know, on my YouTube, let everybody know I am banned on YouTube right now. They took down two more of my videos, and they gave me my second strike and basically said I can't post for 2 weeks. So that's about from today. That's about 8 days away from when I can post. And so I'm not able to post anything on YouTube, although I can comment. I can watch YouTube. I just am not allowed to post anything. And like I said, it's disheartening because as a creator, like this year, I started my channel, and since 2011, since right now in 2020, I've basically done enough work to get 1,000 subscribers. Since I started doing this truth seeker content in March, starting with the COVID means Kobe video, I've like quadrupled that. I had, almost 4,000 subscribers, and I did that in the work that I've done because
Congratulations.
thank you, because I've been going hard every single day, hard research, making sure that, sometimes I do make mistakes, but for the most part, people can look up every single thing that I say in my videos and they can see it for themselves, read it for themselves, but, believe it themselves. I don't try to convince people of things. I just give them information, show them where they can find it. And once they do their own research, usually people come back like, oh snap, that was real. So I've been doing this since March. And in March, I was doing like daily content. You'll go back to some of those videos and I'll be like, you get a video every single day. I stopped saying that because, I want people to expect a video every single day, but I tell them that they're going to get it a lot. So basically what I've done since I've been banned off YouTube, I've been going live on my Facebook every day. So I'm going live every single day on this week because I'm promoting my Patreon. And I'm going to send that to Almedia so she can put it in the link here. But like today, I'm going to be doing my podcast, and the full podcast is exclusively on Patreon. It's only $1. All you have to do is pledge $1 a month. You know what I'm saying? So anybody who's watched any of my content should be able to afford that because you have internet. Unless you're on some janky stuff, you living next to a McDonald's and you on a Mick Wi-Fi, some type of stuff. If you paying these Comcast and AT&T, all these internet companies for internet, then you can afford $1 a month. You can afford 4 quarters in a month, 100 pennies, 10 dimes. You understand? So you can afford that stuff. And for people who, I understand, if you broke, you have to be. You know how the culture, we say, shout out to Ha Ha Davis. They say words twice, broke. If you broke, You got to be broke. You understand? You got to be so broke in order to watch me right now. You have to be on the Mic Wi-Fi from the phone that you stole from a homeless person. You know what I'm saying? Now you own a plan. So, and I'm not trying to make fun of homeless people. Shout out to homeless people, but I'm just, trying to be funny. But honestly, I'm saying that to say all the people who email me and DM me, Anarkist, you doing a great job. Where you? It's like, okay, you like free content, but you don't want to pay $1 a month for what you've been getting. And people who know me know that if I'm going to charge anybody for anything, I'm going to make sure it's the best possible content. So if you even slightly enjoyed the type of content I was putting out before, then I'm going to go way harder just because I charge you $1 a month. And people, shout out to Nicole, who was the very first person to pledge on my Patreon, and she pledged $5. So when I see that people are really serious about the content that I put out, because I do try to be entertaining, I do try to be funny, but for the most part, more than anything, I try to be as factual as possible. People tell me that I'm good at commentary. People tell me that I'm good at explaining certain things to people. So you're going to get way, way, way more of that on my Patreon, because I'm not going to be as censored as I am on YouTube. I'm still going to do, once I'm able on YouTube, I'm going to go back to doing YouTube videos on YouTube, but they're going to be a lot more desensitized and drawn back than they have before, because I have 2 strikes on my page. And really, YouTube can just, like they did before, the other 2 times, can just find another video to strike it down. And once I have 3 strikes, my page is gone. I will start backup pages. So once I get into that, I'll talk about it on my Facebook Live. Follow me there. But like I said, enough people have seen my content. Almost 4,000 subscribers on YouTube, almost 18,000 followers on Facebook, and I have various other platforms too. There should be a sizable amount of people who are really into this knowledge and content, who are willing to pay $1 a month. You pay Netflix, and I've done videos on the pedophile stuff that Netflix allows on their platform. You guys pay like $10 a month for that. Some of y'all pay $7 a month for the Disney websites, which I understand, because Disney, although they have been very, very involved in a lot of sinister things dealing with children, they have very, very good content. I'm not even gonna lie, But so for people who can pay for their own internet to, be able to get the content that I have been putting out for free, I have almost 50 podcasts that you weren't paying for, and I'm going to keep my podcast free for the most part. But tonight, this Thursday, my podcast is going to be exclusively on Patreon. So I'm going to premiere a part of it on Facebook tonight, but the second half of it is going to be on Patreon. I don't want to hear none of that. Hey, like, you cut it off. Well, get the Patreon then. $1. You're not a child. You're an adult. If you can't afford that, then you shouldn't even be on the internet. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, that's what it is.
And we are sending good energy your way. We know that people are going to start. I need to sign up today too. We're going to send good energy your way, because all the people that you provide with this information. I'm seeing that your Patreon is going to be full of Patreon supporters, right. Patriots, or Patreon people. I'm really seeing that for you. I really am. The Anarchist, I want to thank you for doing this interview today, sharing some insight about you. Is there anything else you want us to know about you?
Let me think. My thing is, I'm the type of person that I'm a little bit different, I think, from a lot of people on the internet right now. When I look at the landscape, there are a lot of content creators talking about a lot of different things. There are a lot of people who are in MySpace. Not MySpace, the website, but MySpace. Shout out to Ty. It's good to see you, Ty. One of my favorite and just best supporters. And what did I say? I didn't even get to read it.
Oh, it says, stop coming at these people's necks.
But Ty, you better stop playing with me. You know I'm coming for him. But anyway, dang, what was I saying?
Oh, you were talking about you're different from a lot of people. No, you're different from a lot of people.
I was just gonna say that. And Ty, don't forget the Patreon if you're going to see the podcast tonight. Also check out the Facebook. I don't know if you've been on Facebook, but I wanted all the people who support me. I know you guys will stop over here in Almedia's channel. Please let everybody know I'm banned, and you can see me on Facebook. Everybody doesn't have FedBook, but then go subscribe to my BitChute, which I'm going to let Almedia post all those links below. But definitely sign up to the email list and sign up to the Patreon. But I was saying that I'm a little bit different, because there are creators who do a very good job in my space. Shout out to Young Pharaoh. Shout out to Von Two Cut. Shout out to a lot of people. Shout out to Sa Netter, he has a good channel. Shout out to Brother Polite. Shout out to Ashe. You should be saying Ashe. Shout out to but no, shout out to all these creators, man. It's the women too. I'm trying to think of some women. Miss Blue, Queen Afua, rest in power to Dr. Francis Cress Welsing. But I'm speaking specifically of like content creators on YouTube today. Shout out to there's a woman that I watch, Kanisha Taught You. Shout out to Sarah Lee. Shout out to Vicky Dillard. Shout out to Michi X. Shout out to, there's a lot of women. I don't want to discount the women because you guys do great work too. Shout out to Almedia Lee Exum with the Happy Day Motivations. Y'all better go back and listen to that Happy Motivation podcast. That junk got me amped. You feel me? No, but no, seriously, man, there's a lot of content creators on YouTube, especially in the truth seeker space. And what's interesting too is there are content creators that are like younger than me, like 23, 22, and they are in the entertainment space and they deal with a lot of drama, whatever. But I bring that up to say is that it's always very, very disheartening when a content creator, when their platform is, on the verge of being taken down, destroyed. You understand what I'm saying? Especially when I'm not doing anything. Like, I've seen a lot of the videos have been taken down and YouTube said I was cyberbullying. And they said I was cyberbullying politicians who have done crimes and have not been brought up to justice for them. I won't say their names. I don't want to compromise your channel. I mean, you have a great platform. But
you do too, but they go after the truth. But the truth can't be, muted for too long.
Right. So that's why I was hoping, like, people who really, I'm not trying to be mean, because I kind of try to think of it like this. The reason why I put out so much free content and nobody really, I won't say nobody, but it's hard at my level to benefit from this information because companies don't necessarily always want to touch somebody who's this raw and real. I don't really look to get branding or sponsorships or things like that. So we have to be really creative. We have to have people who support us a lot, which that's why I shout out Ty so much. These are people who literally support me with Cash App donations. Shout out to Ty, Leland, Jordan, Laura. These are people who actually went in their own pockets, their own bank accounts. And because they either have children or believe in this information so much, believe in this truth so much, they've donated to my platform, which has helped me to do more. So that's why I feel like $1 a month is not asking for my Patreon, especially the type of information I put out. But like I said, shout out to these people. I know Young Pharaoh he's actually suing YouTube/Google right now because of the strikes done to his channel. One of his most popular videos, it was a 2 million viewed video almost, and it got taken down. He was speaking the truth. So it's just like, it's interesting that people in our space, we have to fight so hard for this. But it's interesting too, because other content creators, they get their page strike all the time too, but for different reasons. But just bring that to say it's real disheartening for someone who is a content creator who has to figure out creative ways to make a living and put out their content. I understand people want to see this for free, and that's why I have been doing it for free, because the most important thing is building up a following that people get to understand this stuff. Because to be real, I'm really, really tired of living in a world where I know that some of this stuff goes on and there are people who just have no idea about it, or there are people who, if they see my content, they try to discount it. For instance, last night I was live on Facebook, and I hope I'm not talking too much on media.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Yeah. Last night I was live on Facebook, and I was talking about an interview that I seen about a man talking about, his name is Ron Swanson. I'm going to talk about more of that on my podcast tonight.
His name is what?
His name is Ron Swanson. Mm-hmm. Ron Swanson is basically a regular dude like me. He's a truth seeker, and basically he just found out some stuff about the deep web and the dark web and what they were doing, and found out that there's a whole pedophile culture on the deep and dark web. People who are open and blatant about their abuse of children. And he says they range from what they call child lovers, which is people who sickly and honestly think that children can consent to sex, all the way up to people who like to rape and torture. They get off on torturing children. So that's what I'm going to be talking about on my podcast tonight. It's called Pedos on the Dark Web. All right. It's very interesting content. This is stuff that I would have to title it different and find another sensitized way to talk about it on YouTube. But on my Patreon, I'm going to be raw and real, because these are real issues that we face, and people with children don't know about this. He talks about, this man Ron Swanson talks about how some of these hackers on the deep web, they blackmail children because hackers can hack into your phones, which is why it's very important that, you know, if you leave your laptop or your computer up, that you are covering the camera. People can hack in there, start recording you, and there have been cases of them recording children and then emailing them, message them saying, hey, I got photos of you doing this, that, and the other. I will send this to your school, to your parents, and blackmailing them into doing and sending them child pornography. This is a real
Wow.
thing. Yes. So they say, okay, I won't do this, but you got to touch yourself and do this. You know what I'm saying? And try to and gets higher and higher. And these are the videos that children are producing for them as child pornography content on the dark web. Do you understand?
Wow.
And some of these children have been led to kill themselves. Go ahead.
No, that's terrible. This is why you all need to visit the Anarkist's channel if you haven't already and catch up on some of his videos. Start from the beginning or start where you can. And but watch his content. He spends hours studying this information before he presents this to you all, and it's all free. He's passionate about this. So as we wrap up, I just want to say again, thank you, the Anarchist, for sharing some of who you are with us today, telling us about you and what got you started, telling us about your experience growing up in Detroit and how your mother and father have influenced you. I am so glad that we were able to have this conversation, just getting into the mind of the Anarchist, and we've only begun to scratch the surface. Make sure everyone likes this video and subscribe on my channel, but also please go to the Anarchist's channel, like his video, subscribe, comment in the comment section below. There's a lot of conversations happening on his YouTube channel. There's a lot of information to unpack. And if you are a truth seeker, go ahead and visit his channel and follow him. And make sure you grab one of those truth seeker shirts. Also, if you are interested in anything regarding motivation, veganism, lifestyle, visit my channel, like this video, and subscribe. Check out some of my motivational videos as well as my videos. I have some videos coming out regarding veganism and other things. Just check out my YouTube channel, anything regarding lifestyle, veganism, and motivation. And grab you a Happy Life Day shirt, because I truly believe that every day is a day to be happy. Every day is worth living. And I believe that we should all have happy life days every single day of our life and remind ourselves that we should be grateful to be here experiencing what we're experiencing. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you again, the Anarchist. And I hope you all stay tuned for more videos coming from us. Any last words, the Anarchist?
Yeah, I just want to say, man, if anybody is here based on, you follow me on Facebook or on my YouTube, please subscribe to Almedia's channel. Not only does she have great content, a really great podcast, and just really good content, but this will probably be the channel that I come to when I can't go on my own channel based on bans or anything like that. So, me and Almedia are really, really good friends out here. She's showing me the way of the Chicagoan. You feel me? But yeah, so really dope information, and people who like my information, I'm sure, are going to like hers, especially if you're someone who wants to hear good information about how to be vegan, which I support strongly. Remember, we say be babies. Savvy baby. You know what I'm saying? Savvy laid the foundation. So this is one of these Savvy babies that you guys need to follow, because one of Almedia's passions is veganism. Not just that, but people, humanity, the earth, the environment itself. So I think you guys are going to get a lot of good information here. But also, again, don't forget to follow, subscribe or sign on to the Patreon, because right now we don't have a whole bunch of people right now, but it doesn't matter. I got, if no matter who I got, I'm going hard on content. So I'm showing you guys that I can go live every day, because I'm doing that on Facebook for free, but it's to promote my Patreon, because once I'm done with that, Patreon is where I'm pretty much going to be going live every day, when you're going to get the content that you've got before. Very good documentaries, because at this point I've gotten really good at them, got really good at doing them, making them, and the research, and kind of being ironclad as far as getting out the mistakes and all that stuff. So all that content is going to be real, raw, and free on my Patreon. I also want to point out the fact that those people on Patreon can message me, and that's going to be my primary audience. So if you guys want me to do videos or want me to talk about any specific subjects, if you're on Patreon, remember, $1 a month, 4 quarters if you're not still in McWi-Fi. But if you guys want to get on the Patreon, then you can ask me any questions, to ask me to do any video, and I'm going to obviously put you over anybody that's messaging me, emailing me on Facebook, whatever. So that's how it is. So I'm going to put you guys number one, because these are people who are showing me that we actually care about this content. It is very, very real information, powerful information. And like I said, I'm not here trying to necessarily change the world, this, that, and the other. I present information. It's been on my a chip on my shoulder for the longest time that people don't know some of the things that I know. It's not because I'm smarter than people. I'm not smarter than nobody. I'm just willing to do the research. So I appreciate every single last person who supports me enough to sign up to the Patreon. If you don't have the money to do that, which is literally $12 a year, you can sign up to my email list, because what I'll do is I may release content sporadically on some of my other platforms. So if you sign up to the email list, then you will be able to get that particular content for free, as much as I'll give out for free, because I feel like it's unfair to charge people something that I will give to everybody else. But I do intend on dropping my podcast regularly, but some of the bigger documentary form style stuff is going to stay on Patreon. And I may move, because I do plan on getting a website very soon. Or if it's just people have been telling me about other websites like Humble or something like that. I'll test those out, and then we could just move the audience there. I'll just, if you stay on Patreon for another month, is that Mr. 400M says, I support you guys. Solid. What is that?
It looked like he said social distance. Is that what that's supposed to mean? Social dist? I don't know. But thank you so much, Mr. 40M, for your support, and
Yeah,
I hope
yeah.
you are having a happy life day. Well, again, thank you so much, the Anarchists, for coming on live with us today, doing this awesome interview. This isn't the last time you all will see us together on a live. I just want to thank everyone who decided to watch this, or who's going to watch it in the replay as well. I want to end by saying I wish everyone a happy life day.